Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's Board of Directors meeting of the Mansfield Downtown Partnership for Thursday, March 6th. Happy to call the meeting to order. Kathleen, any public comment submitted?
We have not received any.
Fantastic. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the February 6th, 2024 meeting. Those minutes are in your packet. I'll give you a moment to gather yourselves and take a peek at those, and I'm happy to take a motion to approve.
I'll go ahead and motion to approve the minutes from February 6th.
Motion from Mario, a second from Brian. All in favor? Any opposed? Fantastic. And we'll turn it over to Kathleen for the acting executive director report. Kathleen.
I'm going to keep this really brief. Since our last meeting, we concluded our Taste Two Towns Mansfield Wyndham Restaurant Week. It was a successful program this year. We had 19 official participants, and we'll be sending out some materials to get feedback directly from the restaurants soon. But we've already had several restaurants asking to sign up for next year, which I think is a good sign that they liked the program. And we got some good press out of it. And overall went well. Our 2025 event schedule, I'm hoping to start rolling that out next week. Let the businesses know, let past participants know, and discussing things with Kyle. We decided not to hold the summer stroll this year because of the timing of it. It's a little difficult for staff with some of our other larger events, the annual meeting and some other commitments. And then the attendance has been fairly flat for that event. So for this year, at least, it's on pause. Everything else we're going forward with. Also, since our last meeting, Tony joined me at a ribbon cutting for Crispy Sicilian. So you may recall this is a new business in the Four Corners neighborhood. It's a takeout only restaurant offering up Sicilian favorites, including ready to eat, bowl and bag, and then frozen options that you can save for later. And then she has a wide assortment of pastries. And there was an article from the Hartford Courant in your packet about her if you want to check that one out. And the last bit of news I had was that I recently attended a tourism conference hosted by the Eastern Connecticut Chamber of Commerce, along with the town's communications specialist, Margaret Chady, Lieutenant Governor Bysewicz, and Rachel Linda, who's the director of tourism for the state of Connecticut, were there. And it was actually a really, I thought, informative day. They put together a good slate of speakers, and it was good to kind of get a pulse on what the rest of the Eastern Connecticut is doing. Among the things that we discussed is planning for America 250. So the 250th celebration of the founding of the United States is coming up. It seems really far away, but in terms of planning, it's just around the corner. So we're getting those conversations started on the local level and then trying to get more informed of what's happening at the state level. So that's short and sweet today. That's all I have. Yes.
There is a committee that's university and town together that's begun to work on this. I don't know if you're aware of it.
Yes, I'm on it.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm glad that people put these things together. Thanks.
Yeah, we've had 2 meetings where it's really just trying to get an understanding. There's the America 250 Commission, which kind of is guiding everything. And then the states all have their own commissions. So we're trying to kind of get a feel for what both of those groups are doing, and then see who within the town of Mansfield and the university and possibly regional partners might, that we want to figure out how we're going to handle this, because it's not as straightforward as maybe the bicentennial seems to have been.
You're aware that the chair of the state commission is Denise Merrill, who's in town?
Yes. yeah, that's great for Mansfield.
Great. Thanks so much, Kathleen. Anybody with any other questions for Kathleen? Great. And I will just say, I want to take a moment. I know we've got the appointment of our new executive director on the agenda later in the meeting. So I think it'd be remiss if I didn't take a moment to thank Kathleen for her incredible hard work. Acting executive director, short staff to begin with, and just, again, didn't we had high expectations and you met them, and couldn't be happier with the direction that we're headed and the direction that you've kept us on, and really, really appreciative of you just wearing a different hat every day, and I'm sure there were plenty of days you ended up doing things that you had no expectation or interest in doing. And that's awesome. Welcome to the real world with the rest of us. But really, I think it's it's a testament to your love of the town and the downtown, and the appreciation that you have for everything that the partnership means to the businesses in that space, that we really haven't missed a beat. So really, really appreciative of all your hard work, and and I know that it's that there's really, really good things ahead for the partnership and for everybody involved.
Kyle, if I could just briefly
Yeah, sure.
echo everything you just said, and truly from the town standpoint, enormously appreciated, especially as you already touched on, but just to emphasize just how short-staffed with us also not having an events coordinator, not just pulling kind of double duty, but triple duty really. And the only other thing I might emphasize to build on what Kyle was saying that wasn't necessarily said is, I know that our incoming director is going to benefit enormously from your experience and your familiarity, not just the organization, but all the stakeholders, and that institutional memory. 18 years? Is that basically what it's been? Yeah, that's we obviously talked a lot about Cynthia. It was 20 years, but not to be forgotten, Kathleen wasn't much far behind. So thank you in advance for everything you're going to do and everything you're going to mean for as we continue on this transition. And as Kyle said, embark on this next exciting chapter in the organization's history.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Great. Well, we can move on to reports from committees. I know I will state governance has not met. So, and Emily, has the festival committee met?
Yes, we had our first meeting last month, just trying to, recoup. We did lose 2 members, so we are actively looking for committee members to help out with the festival. We have some ideas, but we're, if anyone has any suggestions in the town of people that you think we should get involved with, we're working, I think, on finalizing the date. I won't say it because I don't want to spoil anything, Kathleen, right? That's still a secret. And we're just starting to brainstorm possibilities. So we will have monthly meetings, with our next one being next week.
Emily, I know as you're recruiting potential committee members, I don't know how often or if we've ever attempted to have UConn student members of the committee. I just know that, short of cloning Nick, he clearly is he's a volunteer. So I'm not gonna volunteer him that he's gonna be part of the festival committee, but I'm sure he has some colleagues that are like-minded and willing to be a part of things.
And I think
and do
that actually came up at our last meeting, to try to bring in the UConn community a little bit more by getting, students involved. So Nick, if you are interested, or you have a friend that you think might be interested, let's connect, because I think it would be really great, especially for the timing of this festival, to get students involved, because I think it's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, 100%. I'm work in the student government, so I can do some outreach, maybe some younger voices, maybe be a good way for a younger student to get involved. But I'll send you an email and we can definitely connect.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony?
Um, particularly since we count so heavily on Yukon volunteers to staff the festival, maybe one of their volunteer coordinators or somebody in one of those offices would want to be part of it.
Yeah, we were talking about that too. Like, I know I've worked kind of with the outreach office at UConn, but we were trying to identify like what might make the most sense for who can connect us with those, as that we work with for those student groups. So that's a great idea.
Great. Anything else for Emily on the festival?
Nope.
Fantastic. Tony, financing, or no, Mario.
Mario.
Mario, now is this your first committee report, Mario?
It would be my first
It's
committee
very
report.
fancy. I noticed you didn't.
Yay.
I noticed that you did not.
Tony's clapping.
Usually the first report, we make you submit it in full writing and triplicate for everybody to parse through, but we'll let it pass for this.
I appreciate the mulligan,
Yeah.
no pun intended. But anyway, so we did meet as committee, and it was in person, which was great to see everybody. So thank you all for those who attended, and thank you to Kathleen for being able to put together somewhat of a draft as much as possible for the budget. We did have several questions that unfortunately we were not able to answer. So as far as our next meeting, I'm not able to present really entirely what we have for a budget. Just know that it is being worked on, and based on the information after today's announcement, we will have a better handle on completing that budget. So pretty much, I mean, it's short and sweet. But again, thank you to Kathleen for being able to put together what she could based on previous years' experience. So we hope to have something for us to present to the board next meeting.
Fantastic, Mario. Yeah, and I know obviously myself and Ryan, we've had a lot of conversations about obviously the transition challenge, and so we're super fortunate. Obviously, Steve's a member of that committee and involved and aware of sort of where we are. So I'm quite comfortable. I'd rather take a little extra time compared to normal and make sure we get it as as right as we can. Knowing again we've been short-staffed, we're there's a lot of change and a lot of uncertainty to work through. So appreciative, Mario, of you and the committee working with Kathleen and acknowledging that. So that's great. Any questions for Mario on finance and growth?
Thanks, Tony.
You're more than welcome. Delighted.
Well, great. So next on the agenda is the appointment of the executive director to the Mansfield Downtown Partnership. Briefly, obviously, I can recap. In our last meeting, we had the opportunity in executive session to meet with our candidate, with our finalist, and at that point, moved forward with the process of offering the position, and fortunately, Steve Farino did accept the offer. The vetting process from a town perspective went through without a hitch. So no issues from that perspective, and so I think at this point, before I ask for a motion, I do, out of respect to the members of the board, if there's anybody that has anything they want to touch on briefly before I ask for a motion to appoint, I would do that at this point. Yes, Brian.
Yeah, I have a question on the salary.
Yes, sir.
Cynthia Van Zelm was making what when she left?
Brian, do you remember that exact
It
number?
was, I think, in the neighborhood of $110,000 a year, plus or minus, I think.
We increased the salary.
Correct. Yeah, this Steve's
We didn't
the
know
base
that.
salary that was offered to Steve based on a variety of factors, in part wanting to, as has been discussed, I think, in the past, or was discussed when we when the recruitment brochure, recruitment materials were made public, and we talked about the compensation range. So just to recap what the discussion was there, it was to set the range basically in accordance with what the town currently compensates our Director of Planning and Development, looking at it as obviously they're not exactly the same position, but in terms of complexity, roles, responsibilities, there was logic and
I would have
wisdom.
thought maybe we would take advantage of some salary savings, that's all.
Yeah, and so, but beyond that, I mean, Steve's, has a depth of experience in this area. There's, obviously he hasn't done this job before and hasn't done this particular job for a kind of comparable, if you will, nonprofit, which is obviously why, the preferred candidate wasn't offered the top of the range, but the you do need to. There's always a negotiation, I guess, right? And so we need to make sure that we arrived at something that was mutually agreeable to the organization, its representation in the discussions and the candidate, and that's where we ended up.
One other question, if you don't mind. Mr. Ferrigno indicated that he would sign a document in regards to conflict of interest where he would engage in real estate activities. Did you receive that in writing as he promised in the last meeting?
It was
Uh,
discussed.
Well, I'll stop you there, Ryan.
Yeah.
What was discussed was in executive session.
Yes, yeah, right.
So
Correct, but now we're out of executive session and we're talking about.
Brian, what was discussed was in executive session.
So did he or did he not keep his promise?
There was not a stipulation outlined. There was simply a discussion in executive session. So there was no stipulation.
It was a promise.
Sure.
Can I rephrase Brian's question in a way that might be answerable?
Sure.
Is the executive committee confident that there will not be an ongoing or occasional conflict of interest?
I'll speak
Well,
to.
yeah, I mean, I'll just say absolutely. And if we feel that, and if we feel it needs to be addressed, we would do it if necessary in writing at that time. Ryan, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah,
to that?
just that I think, based on the conversations that were had with Steve and what he described as his anticipated future role or activity with the realty brokerage, there was, I think you hit the nail on the head that if at such time questions or concerns arose, if there was a need for that, there will be opportunity to address that at a later date. I think the representations that Steve made to the group in describing, he's going to be devoting full time and attention to this position, and he's demonstrated tremendous ethical fabric in the past. He cited some examples. We had discussed some examples. I won't go into them here because it wouldn't be appropriate to, but I think the examples he cited where actions and decisions he made in varying capacities, including chair of the Economic Development Commission, things that were not in his own best interest or his business best interest or family's, best financial interest per se. I think he's demonstrated that he's going to put the work of this organization first and the interests of the town first and the partnership first. And so I think we enter into this with great confidence that he will absolutely honor those commitments. And I'll stop there.
Any other questions or comments, Sean?
Yeah, I feel compelled to echo some of that. And, you know, I know Steve as a person of character and integrity. And I can't imagine a day that he would risk that anything negative for himself or his family in this community or any other. And for those of you that don't know Steve, I welcome you, and as I'm sure that he would, to get to know him so you have that same level of confidence.
Thanks, Sean. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none. I'm now happy to take a motion to move the appointment forward. Emily,
I move effective March 24th, 2025 to appoint Stephen Perino as Executive Director of the Mansfield Downtown Partnership under the employment terms and conditions previously extended.
do I have a second?
I would second that motion.
Okay, Ryan, and all in favor? Any opposed? Note one opposition, Kathleen. Okay. Congratulations, Steve, who was unable to join us at this time. He had previously scheduled trip. I will touch base with him on the ride home this evening. Again, he will be starting on March 24th. I do anticipate that we will be having some introductory meetings here in the short term with some key stakeholders, obviously with the staff, you know, and certainly would encourage you all to reach out to Steve and share your support. That would be fantastic. Yes, Ron.
Is there going to be a press release on this?
There will be. There'll be a press release. There'll be a notice that'll go out to the membership. And posting on the website. What else, Kathleen? I know that we've had probably 711 emails in the
Yeah,
last.
we've been working on this for days.
So,
Yes, I'll be posting it after this meeting on the website, in the e-blast to the members, and then on social media either tonight or tomorrow.
fantastic. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? And obviously, I think it would be governance, Kathleen. We obviously have to replace Steve on the board. So I don't know what we can talk more about that process, but that would be obviously a next step as well. So, Tony?
I just want to say I've been trying to get Steve to run for office, and so this takes it out of the water, but I'm really glad that he's going to be working with us.
Me too. I think it's fantastic. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for Kathleen and Rosemary, and you know, and whoever our you know, our next staff member is for the partnership. I think it's really an awesome opportunity for the partnership to grow and evolve beyond the downtown and beyond, you know, beyond what it's been known to be. And I think the timing's perfect. And I know that that folks on our end, you know, relative to UConn and from a leadership perspective here, super excited. I can't tell. Is that you, Nathan, on the phone? Might be
Yeah,
Nathan.
yeah,
It
it's
is.
me. Yeah, it's a nice timing and queue up, Kyle. Thanks. And sorry, I'm
Yeah.
not on camera.
That's-
For those of you who have been on meetings on Zoom with me before know that I have troubles on my phone for whatever reason. But super excited that Steve is going to be in this role. Strongly a supporter of his candidacy for the position. So it's an exciting time for the town, for the university, and for the partnership, I would say. So we'll put our full weight behind supporting him in this partnership that we have.
Thanks, Nathan. Great. With that, I think we're set from that standpoint. I will just echo, you know, thanks to the those here that were a part of the committee or the screening group as well. And certainly, Ryan, to please pass along our thanks to Maria. But I want to thank Maria on the record. She was fantastic in helping to guide this process. And here's hoping we don't have to do it again for another 20 years. That would be awesome. It was not going to be my problem in 20 years, but let's hope we don't have to do it again.
Well,
Awesome.
and I guess, I don't think I'm betraying anything by saying that, Steve did say it. I don't think this was tongue in cheek. He's very well aware of Cynthia's 20+ year run, and he is setting a goal for himself, obviously one day at a time, but to eclipse her tenure in terms of duration. So I think that's a laudable goal.
Yeah, unless Tony tries to trick him and get him to run for mayor or something,
Yeah, well,
which would be
he
unfortunate.
turned me down. I mean, this pays a little more anyway.
There you go.
What's the mayor job play these days anyway, Tony? Exactly.
You could double my pay easy.
she does often get to handle like a large pair of scissors, though, and that comes with its own, perks. So.
Exactly. I mean, all these grand openings, Tony. I mean,
I know.
what's
The
that?
problem is I have to eat when I go there. I mean, it's really and the food's good, but it's not helpful for me.
No.
Anyway.
Awesome. Fantastic. Okay. Well, thanks everybody relative to that. As I said, I'll be reaching out to Steve. So Kathleen, you're gonna blast out the press release and you'll get the note out to membership, and that'll be fantastic. We will, I do think, and this is reflected in the message that Kathleen will be sending to the membership. I think I know we usually don't sort of do a public meeting until June, like our annual meeting, but I think we've talked about, trying to establish some type of a social gathering at some point in the spring, whether it's a happy hour or something like that. That'll give people, again, fortunate that a lot of people know Steve, but I think it'll give folks a chance to come say hi to him in a different role, and and for those that don't know him, a chance to meet him. So that'll be so more to come on that. We'll start working on schedules and calendar and all that stuff. And the final thing on the agenda is our usual correspondence and communications, which is in your packet. Kathleen, we always appreciate the information you share, and I know you had special notes in there this week about special articles. Yes, Kathleen.
We have one other piece which I've shared with Tony and Ryan, but yesterday Wallet Hub announced their best cities for college basketball fans. Cities being a broad term, but Storrs was number 3 on the list behind Los Angeles and Philadelphia, but number 1 as a small city. So that's not in your packet. It'll be in next month's.
Awesome.
Whose list is this?
This was, yeah, I listen, I'm not going to rain on Kathleen's parade. Anytime Storrs is in a top 5, it's awesome. But the press release referenced the University of Ohio having a value of $251 million. And it also referenced Spokane, Washington as being one of the top basketball cities in the country. And it's Gonzaga, and that's not, I mean, if you haven't won a championship, you're not the top of anything. So I have a federal registration right here on my computer for college basketball capital of the world, which means that's really the only, the USPTO, at least while the USPTO still exists, it's legit, it's official. So we are the college basketball capital of the world, number 3 city in basketball.
Sean, it's Wallet Hub. So they have their metrics listed. It's
Sean has Wallet Hub app on his phone. There's no
Wallet Hub. Is that like the who's of high school list or whatever?
Exactly.
Sign up for. I don't know. That's great though. That's great.
It's
I have one I'll
one.
share with you, Kathleen, offline. That came to my attention today.
Fantastic. Great. Anything else? Then I will happily take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. Second from Brian. And all in favor? Any opposed? Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your week and weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.